Hey everybody, we're back live, PCA 2024. It's day 3.
We were talking.
We're in the middle of a conversation. We'll tune you back in just a second. We're in the Powstanie booth with Mike Szczepankiewicz.
Dude,
did I get it?
That's pretty good.
All right,
man. Nicely done. Nicely done.
So this is our first time talking with you at the show.
Yes.
It's really good to sit down and finally chat with you, man. So how's the show going for you, first of all? Like, how's this been?
The show has been really fantastic, man. You know, I've got to do a lot of interviews. I got to meet some new retailers, which was a surprise to me. People who have heard of me, who have I've been approached by guys like, hey man, I just feel like I know you because of the podcast and just how you kind of live your life. And I'm like, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
And that was a good humbling experience.
Yeah.
So I've had a good show. It has its ups and downs, as we were just discussing. But,
So we're in the Powstanie booth, but you do way more than just Powstanie. So
I do.
Tell us everything you do. I mean, you tell us.
Oh my God! So obviously, Powstanie is my baby. It's my brother's and mine, so we work on that together. I handle distribution for Fable cigars, Phosphoro cigars, Ceniza Fina, FQ, and the remnants of Guaymaro. What is left of that? So, and Shogui as well. Sometimes, whenever.
Shogui, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, we broke up for a little bit, but he realized that he loved me more, so he came back. So we're hoping to see something from him soon in the future, but you got to let crazy be crazy. Let him do his thing, and then when it's ready, it's ready. So
it's a good philosophy to live by.
Yeah. I learned my lesson on that too. There's so many lessons in this industry, that I've gone through. So
yeah.
I remember writing show orders for a product that I did not have.
Yeah.
And then then the product never showed up.
Oh, no.
So I had nothing but angry retailers, and they're like, "You didn't send me this. You didn't send me the product." I'm like, "I didn't send it to anybody."
That's not what you are.
Like there was no. It didn't come. Show me where it is because
Yeah.
So that's part of the thing. I do all that. I have my own podcast that does very well, Cigar Hustlers Podcast. I just wanted a platform where I could speak freely about this industry.
How long have you been doing the podcast now?
5 years.
Yeah.
5 years. Dude, I start counting the years of things that I've been doing things, and I'm just like, man.
It adds up quick.
My eyes are a little swollen now. I see some wrinkles. The hair's starting to fall out. I'm like, okay, here we go. So, I've been doing that. I have a retail store. That's been the longest one. I've had that for 15 years. A little online presence, social media across the board. I think that covers everything.
Yeah, I mean, you're everywhere, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm trying. I'm trying really hard. So
yeah, you're killing it.
I appreciate it.
All right, so since this is the first time we're having you on air, you got some new stuff to talk about. But why don't you tell us, what do you have? What's the history behind Powstanie? What do you have current offerings, and then maybe going into the new stuff?
Sure. So Powstanie Cigars started 10 years ago. Then there's another one, and I wanted to make something that I had complete control over. I had experience with other retailers that would suppress me as a retailer, and they tried to dictate what product I could get from other brands and manufacturers. So I wanted to make something that, couldn't be controlled. That turned into other people wanting it because of who I work with and the relationships that I've developed over time. So I started selling it to other retailers. That turned into other retailers making products, and then me handling distribution for them. So the first line that ever came out was the Habano line, and that was my first time I've ever blended a cigar and worked with Skip and learned a lot about tobacco. I still have a lot to learn.
That man knows more than I can't even.
It's funny. I had a conversation. I remember having conversations with him 10 years ago, 12 years ago, about where specific tobaccos hit tongues and the portions and bitterness, sweetness, and all those other things. And then I had retailers coming up to me, hearing similar stories from other guys that are deep, big in the industry. Like, you're not going to believe what I just learned. I was like, that's amazing. The white guy down in Nicaragua, just kind of hanging out drinking Florida Connie, we had that conversation too. It was like, that's, so yeah, he really knows a lot. He's really well versed. The broadleaf was created by my brother. So that came out a year later after the Habano. And then when my son was born, when my son was about to be born, I blended the Connecticut. So that's about 10 years ago. And I made 100 cigars of them, and they were called Apollo Danny. And I gave them out to my friends. And I wanted to name my son Apollo, if it was a boy, and Danny, if it was a girl. And my wife thought for sure we were having a girl. And once we determined we were having a boy, we had to renegotiate the terms on the name. So
it's a delicate dance.
Yes. So we changed his name to Justice. So the Corona Gorda line that we're releasing this at the show is called Justice. It says Justice on the band and on the box. So the entire Connecticut line, though, was based off of that Corona Gorda. So, and it's not like any other Connecticut.
Yeah.
So I'm super impressed with it. Very happy of it. Got a lot of good, positive reviews. Like almost overwhelming. Like it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot. When it hit, and people were like, "Man, I love the cigar. It's really, really good." And I'm like, "Thanks so much, man." I'm really happy with it, dude.
Awesome.
Things are going in the right direction. I think I'm not at Matt Booth helicopter money yet,
right?
But that's where I'm aiming.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Learjet. I want the Learjet. That's what I'd like.
So the best place to order your cigars is.
Man, I'm a big believer in always promoting other shops.
Okay.
So
how many shops are you in right now?
Well, I would tell you that we've had probably 250 retail locations at one point. I would say that we realistically are dealing with 150 to 200 now. And, the real question is, like, are they a great retailer when it comes to our brands? So I would say probably about 150 to 200 or so, And what's really cool to me is, like, you have relationships with guys, like, and now I've done this for so long. There are guys that believed in me at the beginning, and we opened up. Right. And they carried the product for a year or two, or then like year 3, things kind of slow. And then year 4, like it completely kind of dropped off. Right. Well, like this year, I've had someone come back and say, okay, well, now people are coming in, bringing your cigars into my store. So I have to bring it back, and I really need to get behind it again. And I'm like,
yeah,
that means I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that. So yeah, I mean, Small Batch has it. Secreto Cigars has it. Famous has it. Tobaccology has it. Those are all websites that you can definitely check out. I always encourage people to go to those sites. I'm a big believer in taking care of all those people. Whenever we release SBC, it's one of our limited editions, I always sell out of it. So yes, as a retailer, I would like to have it. But if I sell out of it, I'm going to make sure that it goes to every other store. I'm not going to keep it for me. But
How often do you try to release that one? Is it like every 2 years?
It's every 2 years. Yeah. So like I'm going to go down to Nicaragua end of April. Maybe we solidify or start working on that blend for releasing it next year. But I also want to focus on a new bolder cigar because broadleaf is going to become an issue.
Yeah.
So since we're that's kind of a problem.
Is that a growing problem, or just because everyone wants it?
I think it's just an availability as far as high quality. I think that other industries are really taking it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Nick Malillo is working on, but supposedly I saw kind of a speech at PCA that he's working.
Yeah,
on.
I was in that. That was a cool presentation.
Yeah, so that should be interesting.
Yeah.
And then Ben Lee totally messed it up by asking his question. And Nick was like, who are you? I'm sorry, what's your name? He's like, Ben Lee. Like, if you know Cigar Media, you know who Ben Lee is. Yeah. And like Nick knows who he is, but like a beaming light on his face.
Man,
he's like, I have no idea what's going on.
You couldn't see it.
Yeah, it's amazing. So that's all the things that we got really kind of going on.
Awesome.
The Connecticut, the Corona Gorda is going to be released at Boll Weevil Cigars in Enterprise, Alabama, April 5th. I'm a big believer when a cigar is released, I'd like to give it to a retailer and really help capitalize on exposure for that.
Sure.
And then after that weekend's over, we're going to ship it nationwide.
Awesome. What's the price point on your regular production stuff? What's the range?
I don't know at this point. I think it's somewhere between like $12 and $16 or so. There was a time where it was less, man.
I mean, everything's there was a time like over $10. You're like, ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, $10.
Yeah, it better be really good. Now
I had a customer in my humidor, and he grabbed a knuckle sandwich.
Yeah,
and he's like, "All right, I need 2 more cigars that are like just as good as this, but a little bit less in price." And I'm like, flipped it over, I'm like, $13. Oh my God, where do I go?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
So I'm like, let's go take a look at the Aquitaine for one. Let's check that out.
There you go.
And I'm like, but My God, dude, it's so different. And like for me, they never really raised my price. So year over year, I never thought what I should have done was it's like your standard 5 to 7% increase year over year.
Right.
So there was a year like last year, I just got whacked. He's like, "Hey man, I gotta raise your prices." I'm like, "Oh God!"
Yeah.
So I just had to adjust like huge.
Yeah, it happens, man.
Yeah.
So you're tapped into the industry. Obviously, you talk to everybody just like us. What kind of trends are you seeing in terms of like what people are enjoying and what people are making? Like, do you think consumers are still pushing for more stronger, or is that kind of coming back down?
Ooh, what is your consumer looking for? I think that your consumer is not really concerned so much about the overall what I am smoking, is more concerned about the value at this point.
Yeah.
And your overall price point. Like you saw a big Sumatra push last year.
Yeah.
Because it's a more affordable leaf. The problem with that leaf is I think it tastes like garbage. Like it's not a good cigar.
Do you like Cameroon though?
It depends.
Yeah.
The answer is it depends.
Okay.
Yeah, it can be done well.
Okay.
So, well, like the Volstead for the Sumatra was amazing.
Yeah.
But I like that's, a super anomaly.
Yeah.
But I think that what's happening is like a lot of brands are looking for that, trying to find that value kind of niche, but like the prices are still ridiculous. So,
Yeah.
I think that your consumer's all different. Some of them look for that medium bodied. Some of them look for that bold. And some. I think your Connecticut will always be your tried and true.
Yeah.
So the Connecticut really needs a significant place in this industry, because our biggest problem is that we don't have enough cigar consumers.
Yeah.
And the mentality of cigars is that it's bastardized across the nation. Like, oh, cigars. I remember, we need more celebrities like Guy Fieri and things like that, so that people are like, hey, maybe it's not that
stigma.
Maybe it's not that bad. Like you see all the guys when they win championships, they're smoking the cigars.
Exactly.
Like those guys are athletes that devote so much time and energy towards their body every single day.
Voting your favorite food closes.
I think they can still hear us.
Yeah, that's fine. We're mic'd up.
Yeah, it should filter out. Sorry, guys. So what do you think is like the next big tobacco trend? Like you were saying, Sumatra, everyone was making one for a while. Everyone's making a stronger Connecticut. What's going to be the next one?
I would guess San Andreas Claro.
Okay.
Or a Mexican Habano. So what you're going to see is you're looking for, people are going to look for quality, like the good ones, the real ones in this industry. You're going to look for quality leaves at a value price. So, you're going to have to go to those sources to determine that. Like everybody wants a San Andreas. San Andreas Claro is a little bit lighter, which I honestly prefer. I think that it's good because San Andreas really takes over a leaf. It really takes over a cigar. So if you can offset that somehow, and like that's where the magic really happens, right? How do you figure it out so that the cigar is different than what everybody else makes? So that's what I try and do, and I've gotten a little bit better at it. And I honestly think that Skip has gotten eons better at it. Like I don't know if you smoked that Chromag PA yet.
Not yet.
My God, dude, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, he did a great job for sure.
All right, Mike. We'll let you get back to working here.
No more questions.
Well, okay.
Ahead,
where can people find you? What do you want people to tune into you next? Do you have a podcast coming up that you're excited about? What's
next?
I
mean, you can check us out on the Cigar Hustlers podcast on YouTube. I think that would be great. We always talk. We talk a lot of things on that podcast for sure. And I purposely, even though my counterparts hate me for doing this, I will take no sponsors because I want to say whatever I want to say at any given time.
There you go.
So, I have some good friends that sometimes answer the phone when we call. So, like put them on a whim. Like, why would you do that to me? Like, because it's funny. That's why. So yeah, check me out on Cigar Hustlers podcast for sure.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
Appreciate
you, brother.